Okay, we're back. Thank you ever so much for spending some time with us. One of the things that seems to be okay to say now on social media, even on YouTube or especially Twitter, is that COVID's over. If we watch the number of people who were at the national championship game in Los Angeles uh, just this Monday between Georgia and Tee or TC who. My God, have you seen such a butt whipping in a national championship game? It's supposed to be the two best teams in the country. 65-7, Georgia just whips the crap out of TCU. Anyway, but if you look up in the stands, how many people were there? And they were they were shoulder to shoulder, butt to butt, face to face, nose to nose, screaming and yelling, spreading germs and disease all over each other. I didn't see any masks. I'm sure somebody had a mask on. I'm sure. I didn't see any though. Most people weren't. So, and you have to wonder because most people believe, like the president said, that's over. That's done. However, we've said here on Fight Back Media is that it's never going to be over. Never going to be over. Because first of all, it's cash cow. It's an industry. Now, when it became an industry, and I warned you about this, once COVID became an industry, it was going to be impossible to stop. And Dr. Peter Hotez, a frequent guest on CNN and MSNBC, said China's current surge in COVID-19 cases and deaths is a result of too much freedom stemming from unvaccinated individuals. Now, they told us that people who were not vaccinated were the ones that were dying and spreading disease. They told us that. And then we found out, fairly recently that that's not the case at all. Unfortunately, sadly, the people who were getting COVID-19 and having bad reactions, getting severe disease, were the people who were vaccinated. And not only just people who were vaccinated, people who were boosted. That's disturbing. Because a lot of us, including myself, said, listen, if you believe in your heart of hearts, and you and your doctor have had this conversation, that you should get vaccinated for this or that, or shingles or pneumonia or whatever, please do that. Please. And you know what? And we'll organize time for you to go get whatever. If you think that's what you want to do, please do that. No, I'm not going to, but you're welcome to. And we're finding out that maybe we shouldn't have helped some of these people. Not only may there be long COVID, there will be vaccination harm. Why? Because there always is. Now, this is one of those videos that may or may not make it on YouTube, may or may not make it because of what I just said. But there always is. Even in medicines that are good, there are side effects of the polio vaccine. Polio vaccine is extremely important. No problem with that. More people die of pneumonia than almost anything else. You get a disease and then you get pneumonia, and then you die. Most AIDS patients die from pneumonia. Yeah, so if there's a vaccine to keep you from getting pneumonia, if that's a problem, please go ahead and do that. Please. If HPV you think it's going to be a big problem, and there's a vaccine that'll stop you or your kid from getting HPV, yeah, take it by all means. Do your due diligence. Talk to your doctor. Do your due diligence. But if you pray about it, and then if you believe in your heart of hearts is a good idea to do, go ahead and do that. And I say pray about it because whatever we do, now I know a lot of my Christian friends, or especially my friends that are in India, please hear me out. Everything we do in faith. Everything we do in faith. I am not against medicine. I am not against doctors. Again, I don't know if you could see that, but there's a beginning of a 7.5 inch scar on my chest that some doctors put there to save my life. I get to see it every day. I get to touch it every day. I'm not against doctors. I'm not against hospitals. I'm not against medicine. I'm not necessarily against vaccines. But whatever you do, please do in faith. The report goes on to say that China COVID's deaths accelerated to 9,000 a day. Maybe. Now, we were being told early on when this was going on that China wasn't having any deaths or sicknesses. They were doing it right. But they were, there were also reports of people in China being welded into their apartments. Keep them from, that wasn't something that you could continue doing forever. Wasn't really a good plan. Wasn't really a good plan. I know we'll go for zero COVID, and we'll just mask everybody, and we'll lock them in their house forever. That wasn't something that was going to work forever. So China allegedly is getting 9,000 deaths a day. It's what you get when you allow a virus or a lethal virus to rip through an unvaccinated population. It's what you get when you don't let nature, people's immune systems work. When you shut them up into their apartments, weld them into their apartments for months and months and months and weaken their immune system. And then the next thing that comes through is a freaking common cold and it kills half the population. That's what you do. You know, the Spanish explorers, like or Spanish explorers. Columbus wasn't Spanish, but he got money from Spain. When they came to North America, they didn't come there, just rolling around in disease to spread disease to the natives. The natives encountered some viruses that they had not been exposed to and didn't have the immune system to fight them off, and they died. And it's terrible. But it wasn't like the Europeans were doing it on purpose. These viruses weren't killing the Europeans, but because the natives, the indigenous people, had not been exposed to that, they had been isolated from that, then it was deadly. A lot of it was deadly. They had nothing to fight it off. And this is what's happening to the Chinese people, apparently. When you spend a couple of years not being exposed to anything really, and then because you can't keep people locked down forever, can't. Now you have a lot of people with weakened immune systems having to deal with some of this very contagious variants, or maybe even alpha. Would you have it? So this clown, Peter Hotez, says this is what you get when you try to ram health freedom propaganda down our throats. First of all, no one was ramming any health freedom propaganda. People just have choice, right? For all the reasons that I said before. If you want to, please do. But that doesn't mean that I have to, that you can mandate that I do. This is the sort of ridiculousness that goes on, while calling people like Governor DeSantis is actually the one who's the authoritarian, who said you can't make people do this, and that is somehow authoritarian. I'm not sure that the good doctor knows what authoritarian means. All the governor said was, you can't make people do this. You can't make people. You may not mandate people do that. I don't see how telling people that, or telling government telling government, oh, you can't make people do that. You can't force people to do that by telling employers, you can't force people to do something like that, to take in something into their bodies that way as a condition of employment. No, you may not, because that's not what freedom is. Sorry. I just don't think he understands. But more than I don't think he understands is I think that is important and we did a story about this yesterday about keeping COVID going. Why? Because Pfizer made how much last year? In 2000, 2 years ago in 2021, made $81 billion, half of that being from COVID vaccines. Here's what the good doctor professor tweeted. Remember, House Freedom Caucus, Florida Governor, Fox News, and the far right think tanks, contrarian pseudo intellectuals, and their health freedom propaganda. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. It's all about authoritarian control. It's no different from China's President Xi. This is the good doctor? My guess is, and it's only my guess, just a guess. I do not know for sure. But it seems to be kind of the vibe that if we look a little deeper in to the good professor, there's a check probably coming from Pfizer because they have to keep this going. This is a cash cow that they do not want to die. They do not want this to die. So they throw out this number from China, 9,000 deaths a day. Is there any way for us to verify that China is giving us a good number? Is there any way to verify that? It's China. Hell no, there's no way to do it. Here's the craziness. Hotez's assertions is ridiculous for a lot of reasons. For starters, over 91% of China's population has been vaccinated for COVID-19, according to the New York Times. Again, not according to townhall.com or to the Cato Institute or to the Heritage Foundation, Heritage Foundation, to the New York Times, according to the New York Times. Second, the reason why people are flocking to the states like Florida is because what they saw was power-hungry politicians were able to get away within the name of public health. They were able to get away with anything, really, in the name of public health. California was a prime example, with leaders implementing lockdowns over COVID, only then to flaunt the rules when they thought no one was watching. So Governor Gavin Newsom can go to a fancy French restaurant with his friends. My favorite story was that there was a restaurant closed down right next to a movie set that had their food place open that looked just like the restaurant, but the restaurant had to close and the movie set food got to go on. Interesting. Anyway, thanks ever so much. And we'll be back right after these messages. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet. And you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices. And you'd be right. They most certainly are. But you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com, and you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of FightBackMedia.com, 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 and FightBackMediaTV.com. We are thrilled that you are with us here on this Wednesday morning. It is January. What is today? January the 11th? I'm sorry, January the 12th, 2023. Wow. We are thrilled that you are with us. It's been a little chilly. It got down to 44 last night, and I know, stop it, you people up north and people in colder climates telling me that 44 is balmy. Not for me, it isn't. And the difference here in Florida is that it's a wet, clammy 44 degrees. Not very pleasant, not dry and crisp, just cold and wet. Terrible. So I'm looking forward to warmer weather. I'm looking forward to spring weather in the low 80s, a little humidity, which is fine. I'm looking forward to that. Things are happening. We want to get to some of this stuff so you can hear it from us. We're going to talk about our girl Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She is the governor of Arkansas. And so that for me is extremely, extremely exciting that she's the governor of Arkansas. We're also going to talk about what's going on in the House of Representatives and a bunch of other stuff. So it's a wild Wednesday. So just hold on and we'll be back right after these messages. So is it okay now, because it was, during the Trump administration, it is okay to talk about the president's...
yeah. We talked about mental health elderly, so let's talk about this guy's mental health.
The president's mental acuity, because there's sometimes where it seems to be lacking. Have you seen...
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's especially bad. I'm talking about sometimes it's like really bad. Like, have you seen the picture?
I was told not to take any questions.
I was told, not taking any questions. They told they're going to be mad at me.
They're going to be mad at me.
Mr.
President, are you the president or were you five?
You see what I want? See, the next question is, excuse me,
I was told to call on what you call it for NBC. Who's telling you to call on?
That's the question that we ought to be asking. Who's telling you this?
I mean, I don't understand why nobody won't ask that question.
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Who's telling you to call on these people in the media?
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Probably so.
From Fight Back Media, The Morning Report. Alrighty, again, welcome back to The Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. It is important to understand how our republic is set up. A lot of people are under the mistaken impression that the president is the top of the government and everything flows from that person down throughout the entire country. And that's how government is run. Well, that's how the United States is run. Well, that's not true at all. That's how it has been run, unfortunately, but that's not how it's supposed to be run. It's supposed to be running from exactly the opposite position, that states are basically the impetus behind their own success or failure. You see, it's the states that decide what happens in the states. Now, the term states' rights has been taken to mean racist, and states' right means slavery and all these things, but they really don't. A states' right simply means that the state, whether that state be Florida, Arkansas, California, New York, Michigan, Ohio, Massachusetts, North or South Carolina, North or South Dakota, New Mexico, Arizona, you get what I'm saying, Texas, Oregon, Washington, Colorado. Yes, I know all 50 states. Missouri, Minnesota, Wyoming, Montana, Utah. They all get to decide what happens inside the confines of their states. The only position the federal government has or should have is when there's interstate commerce, when things are happening between Utah and Montana, or New York and Florida, or North Carolina and California. Interstate commerce. That's really their only position. When things are interstate. The interstate, as a matter of fact, it's one of those things. That's the only position they really should have. So having good governors is especially important for the survival of the republic. And I think we got a good, I think we have another good one. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She was the press secretary for Donald Trump for a minute. Strong, super strong. Sort of settled down the office, got everybody going on the right page before she turned that over. But she has run and won the governorship of Arkansas, where her dad, Mike Huckabee, was governor. And she did something today that, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a big fan of executive orders, and for a couple of reasons. Because you are not the monarchy, so your executive orders are not the monarchy. You don't get to decree such things. I decree in the name of Arkansas. Well, you don't get to do that. So I'm not a huge fan of executive orders. But these executive orders, if she does them correctly, like the governor of Florida did, you take these executive orders and you turn them into law. They're basically this guideline or outline of things you want to do, and they become law. That's something different. She has decided to end the use of the culturally insensitive word Latinx by the government. It's not a big deal, but it sort of gives a direction to where she wants to take the state. She also has prohibited the promulgation of unnecessary rules and regulations that burden business. This is only a big deal if it is followed by legislation. I like this one. Review the Department of Education to identify any items that may purposely or otherwise promote the teaching that would indoctrinate students with ideologies such as CRT, that conflict with the principle of equal protection under the law, or encourage students to discriminate against someone based on an individual's color, creed, race, ethnicity, sex, age, marital status, familial states, family states rather, disability, religion, national origin, or any other characteristic protected by federal law or state law. Yeah. Her attempt will be to stop school districts from indoctrinating kids with ideologies. Just teach the subject. Also, to enact a moratorium on hiring and promotion to promote the fiscal efficiency and financial integrity of the state of Arkansas. And I think that's a lot of time it's very, very important to just put a freeze on everything. Let's see where we are. Let's do an analysis based on where we are right now before we start bringing people in and giving people raises. And let's just see where we are right now. Also, to direct a complete and exhaustive review of all of the previously issued executive orders to simplify and streamline government. What has come before? This is why executive orders are iffy to me, because the next person can come and just wipe them all out. So we shouldn't get too excited about them. Hopefully, these executive orders will turn into legislation and then turn into laws that she can sign in the sort of the same way that Governor DeSantis of Florida did. Another one is to protect state information and communications technology from the influence of adverse foreign governments, including a prohibition and the installation of connection to or use of TikTok on any state network or state-issued information or communication technology device. This is this massive distrust of TikTok. By the way, and there's a short, or there will be a short on the YouTube channel about this. I had to get another phone. Let's see if you can see this. I had to get another phone. The phone I had was an LG V60 Think, and that device stopped charging. You know, on the charging end, it stops charging. And if you check out Reddit, you can see that phone had a problem there. So they sent me another phone. It was not under warranty. It was, I had a protection plan. So go ahead and get the protection plan. If something happens to it, boy oh boy, you'll like it. All right. So they sent me another phone. Now, LG doesn't make telephones anymore. That's why this is. I'm getting there. Give me a chance to get there. LG doesn't make phones anymore. So they have a refurbished LG V60 Think. But this one has a dual screen. You can see that. You can't see that. It's a dual screen. The screen here, that's phone. That's the outside screen, which is my beautiful face, which you cannot see. And then my other is my desk. So it's a dual screen. The phone here is just the same type of phone that I had before that fits in this case that allows dual screen. Now, I said all that to say this. I don't back up my phone to the Google Cloud. I have a personal cloud that I will back up the things that I want to back up to my own personal cloud, but I don't send anything. I don't back up my phone to the Google Cloud. It's like a lot of you back up your phones to the iCloud. I don't do that. It's not any of their business what's on my phone. Especially when I need another one. So when I deleted all the apps, I had to go back and physically re-download them. And one of the ones I didn't download again was TikTok. I had over 7,000. I have over 7,000 followers on TikTok. Or Fight Back Media has over 7,000 followers on TikTok. By far, I mean, not even close. By far, our largest platform. And because of what TikTok does, when you're on TikTok on your phone, basically it watches keystrokes and swipes on your phone while you're on the app, and then has something like the like the Facebook Pixel to tell kind of where you go when you leave the app, where you're coming from when you get on the app. So its terms are extremely, invasive. So I decided it'd be better, even with a large following, over 7,600 followers on TikTok, to leave that platform. When I do a live, I normally get somewhere between 300 and 400, 300 and 500 views on the live. So it's by far our quote strongest platform. But because it's TikTok, we decided not to download it on my phone anymore. And I don't access it on my computer anymore either. What do you think? Do you think that was a good thing to do? Did I overreact? Excuse me, I'm having a little coffee this morning. And I didn't do that because other people were doing it. There's a Joe Rogan clip up there about the terms of agreement when you sign up for TikTok, what you're agreeing to, and it was an eye opener. So I didn't download it. So it makes sense that if you have some government, communication device, a telephone, laptop, tablet, or whatever, that you wouldn't have TikTok on there because of what TikTok does. It isn't even secret; they tell you about it. What do you think? Also, this executive order to review and implement measures to enhance the integrity of the unemployment insurance program, reduce the rate of inappropriate payments as applicants, and reduce fraud. And this is the thing that she's going to get the most pushback about, because unemployment insurance has been an open table for the fraudsters, and they are going to scream like stuck pigs. We wish the best for Governor Huckabee Sanders, and we're glad to have you on board as a governor. And if we could have you be as good a governor as Greg Abbott or Ron DeSantis here in the South, that would be exciting. All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be back with more of the program right after these messages. Hey, y'all, welcome back. My name is William Austin. This is the Morning Report. The phrase that comes to my mind is goose and gander, right? What's good for is good for well, sometimes yes, sometimes no. And it is funny how things work out, isn't it? And if we just wait and we're patient, it's interesting how things work out. We found out a couple of days ago that indeed in a private office uh, that belonged to Joe Biden, there were indeed what? Some classified documents that were from his time as vice president of the United States that Joe Biden had in his possession that he shouldn't have had in his possession. You remember how they were screaming and yelling in the raid on Mar-a-Lago, and they were looking for top secret documents that the president had stolen that had nuclear codes, and he was going to blow up the world. Remember all that stuff? What have you heard about it recently? That's right, not a zilch, nothing. Why? Because it's another big nothing burger that was going to be a big nothing burger. President has finally answered some questions on this scandal that's surrounding him and some top secret documents he shouldn't have had. So after answering some questions from the press, following a set of statements from the North American leaders, President Biden called on reporters from, of course, his usual pre-approved list, and the Associated Press asked Biden whether he should have disclosed his alleged violation of the Presidential Records Act, given his grandstanding on the topic as a partisan line of the attack on former President Donald Trump. The same thing that you were accusing Trump of and grandstanding on that, you too, sir, were found guilty of the very same thing. So this is what the president said. The president said, people know I take classified documents and classified information seriously. Appearing to read from a script on the podium in front of him. So he says, when my lawyers were clearing out my office at the University of Pennsylvania, they set up an office for me, a secure office in the Capitol. When the 4 years after becoming vice president, I was professor at Penn, Biden exclaimed. They found some documents in a locked box, in a locked cabinet, or at least a closet he had it. And as soon as they did, they realized there were several classified documents in that box. But Biden continued, and they did what they should have done. They immediately called the National Archives and Records Administration, turned them over to the archives, and I was briefed about the discovery and surprised to learn that there were any government records that were taken there to that office. Okay. Now, the legacy media is saying there were only a few, but it isn't the number. It's what's in them. So, of course, he was asked, he said, but I don't know what's in the documents. My lawyers have suggested I asked what the documents were, he asked. I've turned over boxes. They've turned over boxes to the archive, and we're cooperating fully with the review the president explained, which I hope will be finished soon, and there will be more detail at that time. Biden's comments came on yesterday, about 24 hours after the news broke that the DOJ had assigned a Trump-nominated U.S. attorney in Illinois to review the documents and determine their contents and consider the next step after Biden twice ignored shouted questions from reporters earlier in the trip. Yeah, he doesn't answer shouted questions. Stop doing that. He doesn't. So what are they going to say? Is this the thing that we're going to get Biden on? Well, hell no. You know that and I know that. This is just for our mental well-being. So we continue to know that, guess what? There is so much hypocrisy. There's so much gaslighting. Because that's how they do it. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been The Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 fightbackmediatv.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you.